Welcome one, welcome all to Crypto and Chill. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and with me as always on Tuesdays and Friday evenings is Jeff, aka the Blockchain Report. How's it going, brother?
Going good, man. Went and viewed some apartments last week and weekend, and today put in 3 applications. So fingers crossed. Yeah, hoping to save quite a bit on my rent and downsize a little bit so I can throw as much money in these markets as I can. Because man, this Bitcoin dump has got me salivating, dude.
Oh, dude. I got my massive, I need to put it up on one of the shows, because everybody else is like 1 million, like Jason, the guy's the GOAT, but Jason Casper and all of them are like, $1 million, short or trade or whatever. I got like my $100 2x. I need
Hey,
to
you
put
got
that.
it at a good time.
Oh, dude, I'm up like what is it, 26% or something like that? Yeah, I'm almost 27%.
Oh,
So, I mean, I've made like 24 bucks, but I mean,
you're getting your toes wet, man. You're getting your toes wet.
I'm not a trader, dude. I'm not a trader at all. So, I'm trying, but David made a very valid, pointed out a very valid, chart, where it was showing a bear flag, and it just with what we talk about on the show all the time. I see, I saw this kind of the same thing. I mean, not necessarily that I saw all the same stuff, but just the data that in the charts that he was pointing out consistently, and just over time, they kept playing out. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put a small short in. I'm not going to get rich on it, but it's going to help me pay attention more and understand chart movement more if I have a little bit of money on the line. Because
Mhm.
just it's human nature that when you have money on the line, that you're gonna take a little more notice. You're gonna be a little more invested. So that kind of brings us to our
Yeah.
topic pretty much. So tonight, nothing fancy. We're not going to be bringing up any charts. We're not going to be bringing up any news. We're just going to discuss and riff back and forth about what we have really started to focus on this channel, and that is tokenomics. That is deep at a deep level, understanding what it is that we're buying when we're buying these tokens. Are we buying voting rights? Are we, is the utility of the token? Is it simply a gas token? Is there mechanisms in place in the tokenomics and in the architecture and the way that the project is built out, that if that protocol or chain is profitable, if because there's a lot of them that aren't, if it is profitable, is there a way for those profits to automatically make their way back to token holders in some way through programmatic buybacks and burns, through whatever, whenever they're used as gas, is it burned, revenue on the protocol like Aerodrome and things like that. 100% of the fees go to buy back Arrow and basically take it off, out of circulation. These are the things that we're going to talk about. So, what does that bring to your mind, Jeff, when I start talking about that stuff?
Well, one is what do the tokenomics? I know they have all these pie charts, for the tokenomics, whether a certain percentage goes to the team or VCs, certain percent goes to the community, some go to airdrops,
Yeah.
bootstrapping liquidity, for exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Binance has that Binance Alpha, and I want to
No.
share this real quick because yeah, Binance Alpha. So projects will allocate a certain amount of tokens to this Binance Alpha program, and it's kind of like their, I guess, like the launchpad that Aerodrome has for new projects.
Yeah.
And anytime a project is affiliated with Binance Alpha, it gets dumped on when the airdrop happens or when the token generation event happens. And this is over 100 projects have gone to zero if you simply held your Binance Alpha airdrops. So from heavily hyped tokens to projects featured on Binance Alpha, many eventually ended up losing almost all of their value. And that's a huge problem, man, because one, Binance is already shady as fuck. So
Tell us how you really feel, Jeff.
yeah. Well, let's go to October 10th and look at
Right?
this
Let's
big
dissect
dump,
that. Let's dissect that shit.
the dump that they took on your chest. You know?
Oh, dude, man, they gave us the fucking Boston Steamer, dude.
Right.
It was like total Boston Steamer.
Oh
All right.
man. And so I want to know like how they allocate those tokens in the tokenomics to Binance and these other platforms. Cause I know Aerodrome has their they actually had one launch today, I think. T. Yeah, here, I'll share this one too. So the ignition, right? Aerodrome ignition,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they kind of help
Yeah,
projects.
they basically
So
bootstrap liquidity. It's a way to incentivize, bootstrapping liquidity for that liquidity pools, so that there's liquidity available for people to swap, either for or, out of that token.
yeah, so I guess this launch today, the T protocol has prepared a token transparency filing alongside Blockworks, highlighting T's launch mechanics, token utility, and more. And this hasn't been done in the Binance Alpha space. So I really like to see this, more transparency on the whole tokenomics behind these projects. And Aerodrome's looking like they're doing a good job of really getting more transparency around this, because you don't want to invest in something that you think is going to be good, but you don't know shit about it. Especially the revenue generating part. It's not like the black hole where, oh, you get all these emissions, but it's just going to bleed and bleed and bleed. So
Yeah, it looks like Crispy. It looks like he used one of his locks to get him a little bit of tea.
little
Just
T,
as
a
long as
little,
long as you don't get the D. But man,
yeah,
that tail's like freaking right up on your face.
I know.
Yeah, man.
Well, hopefully the T is not the trans T.
Yeah, you do not want that tea.
I know it's
No,
Pride Month, but she saw my kitty and she's like, "Hey, what about me?"
come on. Come
Now,
on.
now, Crispy, what did you get with the
Mhm.
ignition? Like, what's the mechanics behind that? Like when you do the arrow ignition, that
Basically, you put your lock, your vote, you vote, for that pool, and so you're basically allocating whatever liquidity is in your lock to that pool. And by doing that, you get, a share, depending on how many people, how many VE arrow go towards that pool, you get, proportionate to your VE arrow, you get that part of the available tokens that were allotted to
uh,
incentivize people to vote for that pool. Make sense?
yeah, oh yeah, that's like
Okay.
what you did on
So
some previous projects, right? Last year when you
yeah, yeah. So I
yeah.
guess I don't know if Scotty's saying there's 10 billion tokens total, or 10 billion tokens that have been allocated for the ignition. So oh,
Um
sweet girl.
yeah, I don't know. This is the PDF that was downloaded from the thing, that whole breakdown that they did. So
Yeah. Well,
I'm not sure.
let's
Yeah,
jump into this.
jump
So
on
I mean, honestly, this for me is, I think, one of the most important topics that we can talk about. And it's so as this market matures, I'm just going to read kind of my notes here. As the market matures, the hype driven era has been replaced by a focus on sustainable value accrual. So, those that like, I don't mean to insult anybody, but if you don't know what value accrual is, it is basically if the underlying protocol or chain makes profits, you holding the token, is there a connection between that token? That does that token hold value? Does it give you a claim on any of the revenue or fees that are generated? That is what we're talking about. Because if it doesn't, you're, for the most part, holding a meme coin. You might have, if it's a governance token like Ondo, you might be able to vote and things like that. But if the majority of the tokens are held by, Ondo Finance and, people with a vested interest in retaining the profits that are generated, what do you think the odds are that they're going to vote to lose money? I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about that, Ondo is going to vote, and you know what? I hope they do. And I hope Ondo holders make a bunch of money and it becomes a utility token. I honestly, genuinely do. But we can only go off of the way things currently are, and the reality of what things are. And my money is on the fact that Ondo Finance, with the way that they're getting adopted, they're doing great things in tokenization, and there's USDY, and they're yield bearing, stable, all of that stuff. They're doing great things. Don't get me wrong, but there is no part of the tokenomics where that is shared with token holders. Ondo is nothing but a governance token. You get a vote, and you are vastly outvoted by Ondo Finance and by other investors in that company that have that actually make money off of currently. They are not, in my opinion, and again, I could be wrong in the future. Why would they vote? Ask yourself this. Why would they vote to lose money?
Mm-hmm. It's you're shooting yourself in the foot.
if you're making $100 million or $1 billion a year in profits, why would you vote to lose even 5% or 10% of that to token holders? Why? I'm genuinely, I want people to ask themselves that question. And it's true on a lot of projects. It's not just Ondo. It's just that's the hot narrative right now is XLM and Ondo. It's all over my feed.
Mm-hmm.
So, what have you learned since David and kind of brought this up initially, and I really took it to heart and started running with it. Kind of what has it, how has it evolved your way of looking at, because you're about to start buying back into the market. How has it evolved your thinking on what tokens you're going to buy and how you assess if something's a good investment or not?
And really looking at how these projects make money, and also the the involvement they have with the traditional finance. The NASDAQ, like with Canton, having deep involvement with NASDAQ and the companies or the investment firms
the
that are using them.
JP Morgan Chase.
All the regulations that they're essentially building into that framework. I mean, it's really important that they're not just building vaporware. Like a lot of projects in the past, it's like, oh, that it sounds like a good idea what they're building, but I've seen way too many projects that are just talk shit and then disappear.
Like their white paper was like copy and pasted from another project, and they talk about this pain point of this magical blockchain that they're developing, and then just one day they're folding up shop and they're cashing out their tokens and off they go. So all right, let me keep reading here. So the big three metrics, understanding value. So before looking at the why, you must understand how much. Investors often fall into the trap of looking only at the current price. ignoring the massive supply waiting to hit the market. So again, we're talking about all aspects of the tokenomics. So circulating supply versus total supply versus max supply. So circulating supply is what's out there right now. Total supply is everything that exists, including locked and vested tokens. So locked is like the VE arrow. That's part of the total supply. Vested tokens, those are say early investors on projects, or employees that were given tokens to basically incentivize them, because maybe at the beginning they didn't have a whole lot of money to pay people what they would want to get need to get paid, and so they say, well, tell you what, we'll give you 100,000 of the tokens, but you have to wait for 2 years for those to vest or unlock so that you can sell them. That is basically vested tokens. And then there's the max supply. So the theoretical ceiling, if there is one, if there isn't an infinite supply, and to be fair, Canton Network has potentially an infinite supply. The key to Canton, its tokenomics, is the equilibrium or the burn mint ratio. So all of the fees, the $2 to $3 million a day that's generated by the Canton Network currently is, and it could go up, as network usage goes up. That is used to buy back and burn Canton tokens that are constantly being minted. Right now, more are being minted than are being burned. We have not reached equilibrium, so it is inflationary. These are all aspects of the tokenomics. You need to understand these things. And again, I'm not trying to get up on a soapbox and talk down to anybody. It is just critically important that you understand all these things that we're talking about as it pertains to tokenomics, because it is directly related to you as a token holder and the potential of you making profits or losing everything. So, Jeff, out of what I just went over, the circulating supply versus total supply versus max supply, what is it that you look at, when it comes to those sorts of things?
Well, I always thought that having a fixed supply or having it be deflationary would automatically make it bullish, because you can lose tokens sending it between wallets or to the wrong address, like some of us have in the past.
I've done it. None of us are immune. We've all done it. You've been in crypto more than a week. You've fucking sent liquidity into the oblivion.
The cost of tuition, man. But I haven't really heard David's explanation on it, but just because it is inflationary, or you can keep having an infinite supply, doesn't mean it's not bullish, because you can make it deflationary or make it reach equilibrium. So I'd like to hear more of his take on that, just to kind of get a better understanding. But yeah, like, oh, sorry, I had a little pop up.
Oh yeah, I'm messing with the arena. For some reason, it's not like the stream isn't wanting to work on the arena.
But doing these programmatic buybacks, it kind of reminds me of stock buybacks, but not as, I guess, predatory. If you can do it the right way. I mean, Aerodrome's been doing a good job with their locks. Locking it permanently.
I know David has, and legitimate. He has legitimate concerns, with Aerodrome, with the VE33 model. He's admitted that he's waiting to see all the details of the new platform and the way it's going to work. And I'm still keeping my finger on the pulse. I'm hoping that here in June, that we start getting some news about, some, better details about, what's coming in and supposedly in July with the new platform launch. But um, again, he has legitimate concerns about Aerodrome because, the same thing with hype. We've been talking about hype a lot because it's been pumping. The tokenomics are such that with hype, the fees that are generated on the protocol are used to, it's called a programmatic buyback. So all of the fees that are generated from the platform are used to buy back hype because, hype is currently, being, put into the market, put into circulation. And they use that to buy back and basically burn hype tokens. And right now, my understanding, please in the chat or whatever, correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, hype is deflationary because of the success of the protocol. There's enough fees being generated. However, if it drops off like Aster did, to where it's not generating enough fees, it can flip to where it's inflationary. And that potentially could make the price take a dump. And that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for a pullback on it because I don't see how it can keep up, this momentum, especially in a bear market. But I could be wrong. I never invest based off of anything, I say. We're here to educate, not to influence. But I'm waiting for a pullback. There's been way too many green candles.
Yeah, and Crispy asked about the NVIDIA CEO pumping Marvell.
What is Marvell?
They do a lot of ICs, like chips and stuff, but
okay.
I guess they're big in the data center space or connectivity in the data center. So I'm reading this. So NVIDIA dominates basically GPUs and computers and shit like that are used to train and run AI models. So as the models transition into massive distributed systems, the computing problem has to be broken apart and spread across tens of thousands of individual chips. And so he said that when you distribute all that across an entire data center, what's necessary is connectivity. So how will they all connect with each other? And that's where Marvell becomes so essential. Yeah, and Marvell is a pioneer in the high-speed data center interconnect space, specialized routing and optical networking, silicon photonics. So the technology required to move data.
Well, you probably understand that at a deep level because being a hardware engineer. So, but keep going.
Yeah, so they provide that infrastructure for everything to communicate basically at the speed of light. So, and that makes a lot of sense why the stock has been pumping so hard is because they're one of the front runners. And I was like, why is Marvell just going fucking bonkers? I mean, let me see.
Well, I know there's a lot of incestuous investing that goes on with the tech companies where there's like this round robin where they invest in each other to like pump each other's stock. It's like the human centipede, freaking, you know what I mean? It's so yeah. It's the incestuous tech centipede.
Dude, I mean, since April 1st, it was at $100 and now it's at $290 just in 2 months. I mean, that's a huge freaking pump, dude.
For a stock, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. I mean, they're up just almost $100 in just the past couple of days. Woo. Yeah. Yeah, big pump today.
$1 trillion market cap would be over $1,000. So still room if it can do it. I chickened out at 325. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's difficult. But all right, well let's move on to the next. So market cap versus fully diluted valuation. So, that's FDV. So the market cap, the formula is the current price times the circulating supply. So basically the amount of tokens and whatever the current price of the token is. Pretty simple math. That's how you come up with the market cap. And I'll just say it. There is a lot of projects out there right now that their market cap or their valuation basically is nowhere near. It's way, way overinflated because a valuation of a company, and feel free to do your own research, the valuation of a company, there's different ways that they do it, but for the most part, they got to make money. That's step one, make profits. If the project or protocol that you're invested in isn't making any profits and it has a multi-billion-dollar market cap, huge red flag. Massive. And not to say that it can't start making money, but if you are buying in at a valuation of $10 billion and they're not making any money, that's a red flag. Because if it gets to a point to where people in crypto actually start getting educated to a point to where they realize the way that valuations are done, that a lot of these tokens are hugely overvalued and they could take a huge price dump and find their actual real value. So that being said, the FDV, or fully diluted valuation, is the current price times the max supply. So again, it's two different ways of looking at the project. So the investor takeaway: a massive gap between the market cap and the fully diluted value is a major red flag. It means early investors and teams hold a massive amount of unlocked value. That's what I was talking about with vested. Canton had one of the cleanest, fairest token launches that I have ever seen in crypto. Not a single token was kept for the team or early investors. Every single token was released into circulation, and any tokens that are held were either minted by running a validator or super validator, or were bought on the open market. That's the way it should be. Mm-hmm. But that being said,
I think Hype as well. Hype, I think they had a fair launch too.
I think so. I'm not going to say for sure because I don't know for sure, but I think so. But so the amount of unlocked value that will eventually dilute your holdings if demand doesn't keep pace. So if there is huge amounts of tokens being unlocked, either daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever, that is sell pressure. That means, because I guarantee you, VCs are chomping at the bit to sell their tokens at a decent price for a decent profit so that they can take that liquidity and invest in another project or another company or another business. I've worked extensively with VCs. They are hit it and quit it. They're not into long-term relationships. They're into Tinder matches. They want to they're looking for one night stands. They're not they're looking for friends with benefits. They are not looking for long-term relationships. So
yeah, no FDVs, FWBs.
That's right. So that is important to understand. That is sell pressure. Unlocks are sell pressure. All right. Actually, you know what? Let me know what you think on that. I'm going to go grab me another beer.
Yeah, and being in the airdrop game, I've seen so many projects have these huge valuations, and their FDV was just bonkers, but they only raised a fraction of what their fully diluted value would be. So it's yeah, and then the token launches and then it just goes to shit. The only real solid pumps I've seen from these tokens was, like we were saying, the fair launch stuff.
Yeah.
And it just, you don't have these huge dumps. Like, man, we need more of that. Because I mean, we were talking about Canton early on, and like, how do we get involved in getting some of that token? But it was just kind of a mystery.
Yeah, it popped up on rwa.xyz, and then we ended up on, I think it was Kraken or something like that. You were able to trade it before the token was available, something like that. And that's how I got exposure to it before the token launch. And the people in our community were able to get exposure to it. And but yeah, as soon as that token launched, I actually got in. I wish I would have got in at like 7 cents or whatever when it took the only dip that it's ever fucking made. I wish I would have freaking bought a bunch then, but I got in at a good price, and it's one of the few projects that I'm still in the green on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's holding up pretty. It's just ranging, man. That would be the perfect range liquidity pool to be in this year, or at least like the past 4 months, because it's been between 14 and 17 cents since March.
Honestly, you know what? I might ask David that if he would get into if one pops up, because I found that Canton News website that had that article with a bunch of DeFi platforms that they don't have a deep enough liquidity for me, or TVL, for me to want to use them yet. But if they get to that point, if there is a liquidity pool, say like a USDC, and I know that he doesn't like the crypto stable paired liquidity pools, but with something that trends sideways as much as Canton, I'm wondering, depending on the fees that are generated, it potentially, I think, the fees could outpace. Let me see if I get this right. The gamma. So I think it's the gamma. I think it's the gamma. Anyway, I'm still trying to learn those fucking Greeks. It's Greek to me.
Yeah.
But all right. So let's move on. Distribution. The insider risk. The most common point of failure is a VC heavy distribution. If insiders hold too much, and we see this a lot, you can go to bubblemaps.io. And on bubblemaps.io, and actually, Jeff, if you don't mind, if you want to pull that up, we can show people.
Oh, yeah.
It gives you a visual representation, real time, of the token distribution as far as wallets. What wallets hold what percentage of the token. And it is what helped me avoid Aster. So Aster, those of you that don't remember, Aster was going nuts with it, along with Hype, when those perps dexes first came out. So I click on one, so it shows the
let's go Sheeb. Click on old Sheeb.
And see, it shows all of the wallets that hold.
Ooh.
And see, that's distributed pretty well. But now go to Aster. Let's see if it's gotten any better. That's not the right one. I don't think.
Oh, that's ETH. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That on.
Or is it Aether? No, it's Aster. Aster, I think is what it is.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah, the protocol. Yeah.
Pew.
All right. So, yeah, if you look, what is it? 37 on the right. It has like 37% is in one wallet. The column on the right, in the gray. 37% is in one wallet. and you got 15%, 14%, 7%, 5%, 3%. So basically, you end up where you have what, say, roughly, oh no, go back up, say 40, 50, 60, 70, like 70% of the tokens are like in 4 fucking wallets.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And this is what me and David were talking about today on the show, is that's the kind of thing you got to look out for. Because with that amount of tokens, you know what? Pull up Ondo real quick.
Damn. Yeah, look at that. That's previous Aster team. So
yeah,
Ondo?
pull up Ondo. I want to take a look because I've been trying to tell people this, but I want to make sure I'm right. That the majority of the tokens are held by Ondo Finance and Ondo themselves.
Yeah, 56%.
Yeah. And then the
7% uphold
yeah.
wall or up bid.
So Ondo is nothing but a governance token. And the majority of the tokens, the majority of the votes reside in one wallet. That one wallet can vote up or down whatever they want. They can, any proposal that comes up for in the governance, they can vote to either pass or deny it. That one wallet. So is that decentralized? Is that that's not a DAO? That is highly centralized. That one wallet decides the path, the future of that entire project and that entire token.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can show you right here. So this is Tally. There's another one called Snapshot, but Tally.
I need to watch Beetlejuice, man.
We getting all your votes.
yeah. Keep your hands off my boats.
So here's the DAOs that will that have active proposals. So you look at Arbitrum right here. These are all the proposals and the delegates, Treasury. And you can delegate your votes if you hold any ARB tokens. You can delegate them to people or whatever if you don't want to vote yourself. And that's another thing. I don't want to just have somebody vote on my behalf, but now I don't even bother with voting anyways, because at the end of the day, like you said, that one wallet in Ondo can swing the vote, because you come in here, this is the last proposal that they had, and you can see the amount of token or votes each wallet has. So Entropy Advisors 32.606 million, DZAC 13.57. So pretty much, I mean, if you get enough people at Camelot, if you own enough votes, you can just vote however you want, or have a group of people and just say, hey, guys, I need you to vote this way.
This is what I'm talking about, though. This is why it's critically important that you understand tokenomics at a deep level. And I'm not just talking about, that surface level, circulating supply and, freaking, all that stuff that we talked about, the total supply, max supply, circulating supply, that's important too. But you need to go deeper on the tokenomics. You need to understand what holding the token means, what claim, if any, it gives you to the profitability of the protocol or the project. You need to understand if it's purely a governance token, what is the token distribution? Who owns the token? Who owns the majority of the tokens? If you and the rest of all of retail combined is only like 30% or 40% or even 49% of the total votes, you don't hold shit. Whoever has the 51% can vote however they want. And again, I'm not trying to Ondo holders, your token is beautiful. I love you. Your token is beautiful. I'm not calling your baby ugly, but you have to be logical about this. The rumors, just like with XRP, it's always a rumor of a partnership or something. It's why I love Canton. You never hear anything about a potential partnership or rumors of this or that. You just don't hear about it. The only time you hear about Canton, the only time I heard about Canton was when they popped up on RWA.xyz. They were building for 10 fucking years.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never heard of them before they popped up on RWA.xyz and had $400 billion of repo markets, TVL, on their chain, making $2 to $3 million a day, like that. And daily, they come out where they have new validators, super validators. They have new people launching on their chain, and it's not in talks of, or they're doing a test, or trial run. They're fully live. That is the kind of project I want to be invested in. Is there still a lot to be determined with projects like Canton? Absolutely. It's still highly inflationary. Again, I hold Canton, but I am logical and I look at it realistically. You have to be honest with yourself as an investor. You cannot allow yourself to get sucked in that confirmation bias. Don't just go out and seek out voices that tell you what you want to hear. Do the opposite. Do what's uncomfortable. Find the voices that are telling you what you don't want to hear, because they are going to tell you the truth. They are going to point out, and do your own research, but don't just on the surface call something FUD because it called your baby ugly. You need to dig into it. You need to find out if it's valid. It's what I did with XRP. I had my number one holding, I say this all the time, was XRP. I had over 40,000 XRP tokens, and I sold at $2. I didn't sell the top. I'm okay with that. My average buy-in was like 34 cents or 32 cents or something. I made plenty of money. But with the release, like the whole time, the narratives I was listening to is XRP was going to $10,000, because if it was moving trillions and trillions of dollars, in replacing Swift, it had to be a huge valuation, which made sense. Then they released RLUSD because banks and institutions don't want to move value with a volatile asset because they potentially can lose money in the transfer. So Ripple came out with RLUSD. It took away that utility for the most part, not entirely, but for the most part for XRP. So it lost utility. It's basically a gas token now. It's not going to $10,000 a token. I'd be willing to bet. But that being said, and not to mention, this is part of the tokenomics too. That RLUSD, the majority of it, like 70% of it, last I looked, isn't even on the XRP ledger. It's on
Ethereum.
It's on Ethereum. Mm-hmm. So it's not even using XRP for gas fees. You need to understand these things if you're invested in these assets. Again, please, I'm not trying to FUD your project. I genuinely just want you to understand these basics and fundamentals of the tokenomics. If you want to stay invested, none of my business. It's none of my business what anybody out there is invested in. at all. Here at the node, David, Jeff, and I, all we are here for, we're not influencers, we're educators. We're going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about every project, even ones that we're invested in. David, he points out, the things that he doesn't like about Arrow. It's my largest holding. We welcome diverse opinions in this community. We welcome people that hold, if they want to buy XRP, XLM, Ondo, Canton, Arrow, whatever. Cool. You're welcome. You're welcome here. Just you better have thick skin, because I am going to consistently point out the ever evolving tokenomics of these projects. If Ondo comes out and they happen to vote and they make it a utility token, and I will report on that, and I will admit I was wrong. We don't have egos here. We are here to make money. That's the beauty of, like, I don't do price predictions. I stick to just pointing out facts as they are currently. As they evolve, I'll update what I say. That's the beauty of being a channel of integrity. Is we're not hyping. We don't get paid to talk about any projects. We're just pointing out the current state of these projects, their tokenomics, their fundamentals, all of those things. Let me bat the ball back over to you, Jeff. What's up?
Yeah. Well, and we've shifted our views on many projects in the past.
Yeah.
Look at a lot of our videos last year. There were some projects we were bullish on, and now we're not so much. So we're not just going to.
We've been corrected live in the chat by people.
Oh yeah.
And they've cited a source, or told us where to find the info. We've looked it up live on the show, and yeah, we were wrong.
Yeah.
You take your ego out of your investing. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, what's the status on the Canton validator that we wanted to get into? Is that still an option? I know.
It's just been low on the priority list. Just because David's been working on David's our CIO, our chief, our CTO, the chief technology officer. Since he's the one that's taking the lead on like the AI stuff and the website, stuff like that. Once we get the newsletter dialed in and stuff like that, that's definitely on the roadmap to get a Canton validator up.
Okay. Yeah, because that would be awesome, just to be able to participate in that network. Because I've always said, if that was my views on helium. When I got into it, it's like I wanted to at least participate. Since I didn't mine Bitcoin or Ethereum back before it went proof of stake, but I think at some point you should at least attempt to run one of these validator nodes, or see what it's like, or just kind of, even if it doesn't make you money, just kind of getting that education. And also, if it is going to be a long-term viable project, you want to help boost the network, help it become more decentralized.
Yeah.
But that's like these mini Bitcoin miners that you can get for $200-300. You might not ever hit a Bitcoin, but there are some people who have.
You know what? I would guess it's better than a lottery ticket. Better chances than a lottery ticket.
For sure.
All right. So distribution, the insider risk. The common point of failure is a VC-heavy distribution. We went over that. Vesting schedules, look for cliffs, a period where nothing is released, and long-term linear unlocks, 3 to 4 years. The dump risk. check unlock calendars, and there's websites for this, tools like Masari and token unlocks to see when large batches of tokens will hit the market. Large unlocks without corresponding demand spikes usually lead to price crashes. So it potentially could be a buying opportunity on a good project. Just saying, there can be a silver lining on these. In fairness, is there a healthy allocation for the community and ecosystem rewards? Jeff was talking about this earlier, where they have those pie charts where they show, this much, this percentage of the tokens were set aside for, ecosystem development. This much was set aside for airdrops. This much was set aside for the team. This much for VCs, so on and so forth.
And there's a site that you can go to that has all the unlock schedules too. So if you're invested in something,
one of them.
Yeah, keep that in your bookmarks.
Yeah,
if you're invested in something and you want to see, okay, when can I deploy a little more capital instead of just a regular DCA? You can see if there's an unlock happening. See if it takes a little dump or a pullback. Throw a little bit more in there. That could be a strategy.
All right. So utility, the so what factor. So in 2026, tokens that serve no purpose other than governance are struggling. I don't agree with that because Ondo, price-wise, depending on when you bought it. If you bought it, in the past couple of weeks, you're probably seeing some profits. But if you bought it in the last bear market or when the bull market started taking off and all of that, you're down right now. But that being said, investors are demanding active utility. So spend utility. Can the token be used for protocol fees? So as gas, buying services, or settlement. If the project forces users to use the native token instead of stable coins, it creates constant buy-side pressure. Hold utility. Why would someone keep the token instead of selling it, which is basically staking yields, fee rebates, or tiered access are standard. So like VVV token. If you hold 100 VVV, I believe it is, and you have it staked, I'm wanting to say that you get to use the AI platform for free. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. And VVV has been doing quite well lately. It's a privacy AI, which I think is very, very cool. If the only reason to hold is price go up, the project is likely a Ponzi style design. Ponzi meaning that you bought at a price and you're hoping that enough other people buy in to make price go up so that you can sell and make a profit and leave them holding the bag, basically using them as exit liquidity. That's the majority of crypto. I'm just being blunt. I'm just being honest. The majority of crypto is, for all intents and purposes, a Ponzi. People are buying the token, hoping that there's enough hype on social media and whatnot to push the price up so that they can make a 10x, 50x, 100x, cash out, and walk away. That's what meme coins 100% are. And most people understand that and know that.
Pump.fun. Remember all those videos of the people streaming like, I'm going to kill this fish or I'm going to do whatever. Like, if it just pumped to 4 million market cap, like, oh my God, what are we doing?
Exactly. All right. And then the final utility, burn mechanisms. So this is what Aerodrome does. This is what Hype does. This is what Canton does. Programs that burn or destroy tokens based on protocol usage or chain usage. Actually, like Ethereum, the EIP 1559, turn an inflationary asset into a deflationary one, directly benefiting token holders as the network grows. So It's not just if it's deflationary. It needs to have adoption. It needs to have network usage. If no one is using the technology, if no one is, using the network or using the protocol, then there's no tokens being burned, there's no fees being generated, there's no profits being made. It doesn't matter if tokens are being burned if it's a useless fucking token.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and last but not least, we're running out of time. Incentive alignment, the flywheel. A great tokenomic model aligns the incentives of the users, the developers, and the investors. So a positive feedback loop. Users want the token. They buy and stake. The protocol revenue grows. The buybacks or rewards increase, which makes more users join. That's the flywheel. That's the VE33 model that Aerodrome uses, Black Hole uses, a lot of other protocols use. And a good example of two very similar protocols is Black Hole and Aerodrome. Black Hole has dumped the usage of the protocol, the fees being generated, all of that. The flywheel worked in reverse. Aerodrome, on the other hand, it's worked for token holders. Perfect example. It doesn't matter about, you can take two projects or two protocols that are exactly the same. And if the mechanics are the flywheel model, it can work for you or against you. And Black Hole and Aerodrome are a perfect example of that. All right, penalty mechanisms. Healthy models also have teeth. For example, validators who act maliciously get slashed or lose their stake. So a lot of validators, Canton and pretty much all the validators I know of on different chains, they have to stake a large amount of, and I think in Ethereum they have to do this, a large amount of tokens to be a validator. And if they do something shady, they can lose their stake. So it's like a deposit, it's like a security deposit on an apartment. If you trash the apartment, you lose your security deposit. It's the same thing with staking to be a validator.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen many projects do that. And it's good because it keeps the bad faith actors out. Because you said why it's similar to, voting against or voting for something that's going to make you lose money. Why would you do that? Why would you be a malicious actor in the space if you're going to get penalized? You're trying to make money, not trying to earn it.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right.
Unless it's a wash trade, you're just trying to launder that somehow.
Yeah.
But
all right. So let's wrap it up. We've reached time, so I'll end with this, then I'll get your closing thoughts. So tokenomics isn't just math. So it's not just max supply and circulating supply and stuff like that. It's human psychology encoded in smart contracts. In 2026, the smart money is avoiding projects that rely on an infinite inflation to pay out early adopters. Instead, look for projects where the token is essential to the platform's survival. It needs to have utility. Where the cost of not holding the token is a loss of features, discounts, or efficiency. If the token is just a passenger in the project, rather than the fuel, the price will likely struggle in the long run. Can you make profits? Yes. Long term, are your chances better or worse for profit or loss? Probably loss. So, with that being said, Jeff, closing thoughts.
Yeah, make sure you're paying attention to what these projects are building and who they're partnering with, the team behind them, and I definitely want to do a better job of diving into tokenomics when I do the deep dives on the blockchain report segments, because that, especially since we're building that library out, the library, going to have a lot of
Library.
nice pictures and slides. So, for those of us visually visual learners, it can be better for us. But yeah, we want to get you, the best educational content and information out there. And tokenomics are a big one. It's a big kind of mystery. It's like, who wants to read a white paper? Like nobody. But
Oh,
if you can present it and make it visually appealing, easily digestible, can give you a better fuzzy feeling on what to invest in or the project you're investing in. So, and yeah. So if you're on Twitter, we do have a lot of people in the live chat here on YouTube, but we're at the Node Network on YouTube. We got a bunch of shows throughout the week, Sunday through Saturday, and a live music channel. Well, not live right now, but
go ahead and just show the YouTube handle, show the X handle, and then
yeah.
go to the website because you can show the schedule there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The real value is on the Node.pro. That's where the the no cost friggin' DeFi University. You can do a preview of the newsletter. There's so much there. The library that he was just talking about, all these deep dives that we do, on the Node show and that Jeff does on the blockchain report. But yeah, go ahead and go through it.
Yeah, the website, thenode.pro. We have our Intel library.
What up, Wisby?
And yeah, you can create a free account, but we got a lot of educational content at no cost. Highly, highly valuable.
So really quick, go back to the library. Scroll down. So I today I added Ripple, and then Stellar, Ondo, Tron, and Canton, and then I'm working on one right now that I'm going to be releasing. But pretty much all the major projects. Jeff is going to start putting the ones from the blockchain report in here, as soon as possible. David, the ones that we do on the Node main show, he's dropping those two in here every day, and I'm trying to do 2 or 3 a day. So we should be getting like at least 4 or 5 new ones a day in here. And go ahead and click on one. Just go ahead and pick one of them.
We'll do Ondo since we
basically, as soon as it loads, there we go. So you get a video that will usually about an 8 to 10 minute video that just gives you the rundown on what is the project, what it is that they're doing, the token, how the role the token plays, and then go ahead and scroll down. And then it has the text. So if you want to read through, it basically details all the stuff that the video goes through, but in greater detail. Go ahead and keep scrolling down. Mm-hmm. All the way down.
Nice little formatted.
Keep going.
Keep going. There we go.
All right, there you go. And then you got the slideshow. So basically a PowerPoint presentation that explains it all graphically. So you got the video, you got the text, and you got a PowerPoint presentation that breaks it all down for you. And so we went out there and got all the information, all the data, all the tokenomics, the white papers, all of it, and boiled it all down into this nice, neat little package that you can take your beady little eyes and your beady little, your greedy little hands, and it costs you nothing. We do not charge for this. We do not charge for DeFi University. We genuinely just want to educate you. The only things that we charge for here is for the advanced stuff. Everything entry level is no cost to you. We are not shillers here. We are not just trying to take your money. We genuinely want to educate you. And by doing that, by giving you this stuff, it's not totally selfless. We build rapport with you. we build a relationship with you. You see the value in what we're willing to give away at no cost. So, and then even the advanced stuff, we have no, like, you can try it out at no cost for a limited time on a lot of the stuff. So we are about integrity here. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. And like you're saying, the courses right here in the more tab, the learn, got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And, all these sections have lessons and quizzes that you can get into. And it's super valuable. I mean, even if you've been in the space for a while, investor mindset, mastering the fundamentals of the investor mindset and crypto fundamentals and the money basics. This is all stuff that even I can still get a lot of value from. So don't just think that you know everything, because once you think you know everything, that's when you start to lose.
Dude, I'm telling you, ego is your worst fucking enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you said, there's coaching and a newsletter that's super valuable, fully customizable, and it gives you market briefs, ranges, support resistance levels, inflow, outflows, gives you news articles and hyperlinks. So, always verify before you trust. So, yeah. And our community, our Discord, you can join. We have a lot of amazing people in there. Doesn't cost a thing. And we have our store that's launched. So we got some cool merch. If you want to support the channel in any way, those are the best ways to do so. But if not, we still love to have you here in the chats. Like I said, if you're on Twitter, you can come to YouTube at the Node Network and join the chats for our live shows every week. Oh, and the programming. Yeah, here in the More tab on the website, programming, we got all our shows. This is an Eastern Standard Time. So all the shows broken down every day. And yeah, a lot of fun here, man. Building some cool shit. We'd love to see you along the journey.
We have such a great team here, and we're all like perfectly aligned on our mission and what we're trying to build. It's really refreshing.
Yep. Yeah, we need that in this space, man. Too many
honestly,
fucking clowns.
Dude, it's hard. It's hard to find people with integrity in this fucking, well, in general, but especially in crypto, dude.
Yep. Yeah. So check out the show tomorrow morning, the Node Show, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And
all right.
Yeah. Happy Taco Tuesday.
Well, I'm going to go make me some sausage and eggs with some sourdough toast.
Ooh, breakfast for dinner. Yeah.
I love me some breakfast for dinner. Well, thank you all out there. And, I know we talked about, all the, the no cost, stuff that we, and, the stuff that we charge for and all that. But honestly, the biggest way, if you found anything that we talked about valuable or helpful at all, if you find anything on any of our shows valuable or helpful or just, entertainment, it's super easy to just go down, hit the like, subscribe if you like, and please share the stream. It helps us immensely to just grow the channel and just get good information out to people. Mm-hmm. We genuinely just want to help people here. We're not monetized when it comes to, we don't get paid to talk about projects. We don't try to shill, different trading platforms. I get emails on a daily basis where people want to pay us to, come on the show or for us to promote, their protocol or, their decks or, whatever. We don't do that here. Mm-hmm. And because we want all of you to know that if we talk about something, it's genuinely how we feel about it. It's based off of the facts. It's not based off us being incentivized. So please like, follow, share, and until next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace out.